Dear friends, this is Srinivasan, who is having more than 30 years experiences in all sort of construction activities and a multi-story building, presenting you a small presentation on MEP works in high-rise buildings. Provisions of MEP services in high-rise commercial buildings along with the green approach. The image shows how this all system has been embedded in a high-rise building. High-rise commercial building. Energy performs a critical role in the development and financial development of a country. Around 40% of the total strength produced are up with the aid of buildings. The regular effectively thermal energy plant is 30%. Its skill that rest of 70% exhausts to the surroundings in the form of heat. In a traditional industrial building, annually around 30% strength is bump off through the HVAC systems. This is a general view of the commercial buildings of the high rise. Imagine you are in an architecturally well designed and constructed building, but without lighting, ventilation, no lifts, no plumbing, absence of security and security systems, which clearly indicates you are staying in an inhabitable concrete structure. In different places, you are in the 21st century cave. Everything in a constructing which makes you blissful is known as a building services. A building should supply the relief to ease every user, now not just a grand shelter, but additionally to provide the remedy where human can live, work and enjoy the building. Construction technology is what makes building come alive. This includes energy supply, gas, electricity and renewable resources for adequate ventilation, water supply, sewer and natural lights and artificial lights, elevators for vertical movement, land for ventilation and cooling of solar, wind and biomass energy such as telephone and entertainment, CCTV security, fire alarm and security direction, air conditioning and refrigeration. These systems must be designed by an appropriate MEP designer. Green building. A diagram which presents and endorses the belief of a protected dwelling of the humankind. The distinction between green and sustainable plan is the degree in which the format helps to hold ecological balance and to grant power saving in terms of water and power savings. Inexperienced constructing is the one that gives excessive performances over the full existence cycle of the constructing in the following areas: minimizing natural sources, consumption such as water and building materials, along with zero energy consumption by means of the use of hand natural resources, minimizing emission that have an impact on surroundings and the ecosystem, minimizing discharge of strong waste and liquid effluents, along with the demolition and occupant waste, sewer and storm water, and the associated infrastructure such as STP and many others. Minimal negative effects on website ecosystems. Maximum excellence of indoor environment, inclusive of air quality, thermal regime, illumination, acoustics, noise, visual aspects to provide comfortable human psychological perceptions. While the sustainability is offering for the needs of existing, besides detracting from the potential to fulfill the wants of the future. Green initiative. Green initiative requires proper undertaking group with the precise intention. They have to achieve dedication from the proprietor and yearly acceptable documentation of sustainable green goals. The plan crew ought to record the layout groundwork, file to be the profitable green project. Design must be consist of certain ones, proactive, proprietors who are willing to execute the whole spectrum of ownership. Green structure are the one which emphasize on built-in format of mechanical, electrical, architectural and different systems. MEP provisions in high-rise buildings. This image shows what all the MEP services inside the building. It is a Revit model. In a building, MEP execution come into a very advanced stage and final until the remaining handing over the building to the end user. At the early phases of the development, architects and structural engineers requires input from MEP engineers to hold the provisions for MEP machines in the building. System selections for MEP services. Thus, image shows what all the MEP services have been included in the building. Common requirement of excessive upward geostyle and low upward stow building. Environment, power and communication network, plumbing utilities, fire alarm and firefighting systems, earthing systems and protections, specific requirements of excessive rise buildings, fire getaway systems, vertical transportation and garbage chutes, equipment placements and provisions for future maintenance and replacements, lightning arrestor, compound illumination. Usual requirements. Environment. Temperature, humidity, air motion, air purity, quality, modifications per hour, air and water velocity requirements, nearby climate, house strain requirements, capability requirements, security concern or the regular usual requirements in a building. Power and communication network. Thus, image will show how the power and communication systems works. Power and communication network. Commercial structure are normally multi-person in nature, where requirement varies from user to customer. Sufficient provision has to be saved now, not solely to cater the estimated electricity requirements, but also for the future modification and additions. Communication networks need to be open protocol. Plumbing. Water supply distribution, booster machine versus gravity based totally tank supply. Provision of power reducer and isolation valves. Filling arrangements for overhead tank. Balcony, terrace drain, roof drains. Centralized ingesting water devices. This is the image which shows how all these systems can be built in a building. Firefighting and alarm system. This image shows how the firefighting systems have been incorporated in a building. This has to be designed according to the NBC 2019 and local CFO conditions. Fire zoning and cubicles. Sprinkler system with area manipulate valves. Fire hose cabinets for occupants. Wet risers, fire hose cabinets for firefighters. Centralized fire alarm devices in fire related conduits. External fire evacuation lifts for high rise buildings more than 90-meter height. Earthing systems. This image shows how the earthing systems are working around in a building. Earthing system. System earthing network to be supplied at areas as per MEP consultants. Body earthing for central tools. NBC 2000 and its relevant IS codes are to be observed. Security, CCTV, digital entry to a variety of areas to be provided. Parking administration system. Specific requirements in a project, which has been shown in the image like an additional fire evacuations, staircases, etc. Mode of fire escape, fire safety code analysis to be conducted, fire cubicles to be described in the mild of finance protection code evaluation, fire escapes to be provided with the perfect markings, external earth evacuation lift has to be provided, fire breakout routes need to be pressurized and must have 2 hours furnace rated partitions and doors as prescribed by the CFO. Smoke extract machines to be furnished. Vertical transportation. This image shows how the vertical transportation has been installed in a building. Traffic learn about tube carried out to define the volume and capacity of the lifts. Staircases to be furnished alongside with the furnace breakout floors as defined through the CFO. Separate and committed fire rise has to be provided. Garbage chutes. Sufficient variety and size of garbage chutes to be supplied. Utilities networks and management for MEP. Sufficient headroom to be furnished to installation like ducting, piping, cable tray, etc. Sufficient number and size of shops to be provided. The vertical shop size for services in a high-rise building is fairly large than the smaller one. Multi-services rooms. It is critical to preserve the multi-services rooms for HVAC equipment, statistic rooms, electrical rooms at the central region to reduce the headroom requirements and great evenly distribution of the services. Passage for the gear motion from outdoor to the multi-services rooms ought to be viewed at the preliminary stage itself. Provision for future illumination and everybody preservations to be provided. Lighting safety to be provided as per NBS and CFO guidelines. Facade lighting fixtures is to be supplied as per the elevation diagrams of the system constraints. Once the ultimate performance are listed, many constraints must be determined and documented. These constraints may encompass the following: performance limitations, available potential, available house, available utility sources, available infrastructure, building, etc. Constructability constraints. MEP gadget issues must be taken into account earlier than the assignment reaches to the construction phase. Some of these constraints which may affect the success of the sketch and cannot be noted in the format piece. Existing conditions. Maintaining current constructing occupancy and operation. Construction price range. Construction schedule. Ability to section machine installation. Equipment availability, that is shipping, lead times, etc. Sustainability. Sustainable energy consumption can be compromises in a long-term project success, can be lost in case of the end user are not trained to operate and maintain the building system. Thank you for watching this presentation. In case of if you are liking the presentation, kindly share and subscribe this presentation. For any queries, do not hesitate to write to the undersigned, who can reply in a proper fashion. Thank you once again for watching this presentation.